Good evening, and welcome. It is my pleasure to be with you this evening to talk about something so amazing. When I hear woman power, icon, resistance, survival, I think of Ruby Duncan. I know you do as well, but I am Monique Dubose. I am a mother, a daughter, a wife, and a friend, an advocate for youth and families. I live here in Puyallup, Washington, but born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. I am number 7 of 7 daughters. And I am so excited to be your host panelist this evening. I have some other amazing people with me today. Just a little bit about my background. I am the regional director currently for Big Brothers Big Sisters here in Tacoma, Washington. And I am also a mindset empowerment coach with my own business called The Resilient You. It is a pleasure. I thank you to KBTC for having me this evening to moderate this good conversation that we're about to have with some amazing people. Let me start by introducing them. Are we ready? Y'all ready? I'm excited. All right. So first I have Miss Pat Jackson Holly, who is a mother, number one. She is a military veteran and soon to be federal retiree. She's born and raised in the South, and also during the time that that's very prevalent about Ruby Duncan in the 60s and the 70s. She, as a child and a teenage mother, she experienced firsthand the stigma and inequalities of the social systems of our country. She is also, after completing her high school diploma, she joined the military as an avenue that she took to provide for her children and to remove herself from the life of continued poverty. The military culture was not easy for women back then, especially for women of color, but she was determined to return to an environment of no access and no inhumane treatment. She's a firehouse, a very good friend of mine. I like to call her Mama Pat, if you will. She is a woman that has a lot of wisdom to share with us. She's also a member and the president of the Tacoma chapter of Philos under the Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. And she engages in multiple, I see her all the time in the community doing different projects, including volunteering at food banks and just taking care of people. Miss Pat, thank you for being here. Mama Pat.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor. It really is an honor.
I can't wait to hear some of your amazing stories and hear about your experience being a woman of power. I also, Miss Pat, we have with us one of our great allies and someone that's really special to me, my husband, James Dubose, who is a father and a son of a very strong woman who definitely can speak to some of the inequalities around what we're talking about. James is the owner and operator of Big Six Transport, LLC. He is has a bachelor's degree from Pierce College in business administration and just doing well in the community here in Tacoma. He's done a lot of work with Tacoma Rescue Mission and done a lot of work with helping young men and women just succeed. He is in the process of becoming a big brother here very soon to mentor some of our youth. So James, it's so glad to have you. Thank you for joining us on this conversation.
Thank you for having me, and I'm happy to be here with y'all to talk about amazing women.
Amazing women. So it is Women's History Month, but let's talk a little bit about Black history, right? Just really fast. When I hear, like I said, icon, I hear survival, I hear justice, resistance, resilience. I I hear Ruby Duncan, but in our history books and the things that we've grown up with, can you just tell me how many times did you hear Ruby Duncan? Because I never heard that. You want to give us some insight on that, James? Have you heard of Ruby Duncan?
Yes, I've never heard of Ruby Duncan, and this is from attending a Black high school in Newark, New Jersey by the name of Malcolm X Shabazz High School, which we talked about Black history, never heard of Ruby Duncan, to moving to the South and attending high school in Ozark, Alabama, and never heard of Ruby Duncan. And each year, Black History Month comes around, we seem to talk about the same heroes and the same people that everyone is aware of. But to hear about Miss Ruby Duncan, I felt embarrassed to be as old as I am. I have never heard of her and never seen anything in our history books regarding her.
Yeah, Miss Pat, did you know a little bit about Ruby Duncan?
I did not know Miss Duncan by name.
Okay.
When the so-called, what hit the fan, I was a young child back then. But like Mr. James said, I agree with him. I'm in my mid-60s and I'm embarrassed when Black History Month comes around and we don't hear about people like this. And we should. And it makes me angry because it seems like Black history is being denied. And they're to the point they're trying to take it, in some places, take it out of the schools.
Right.
Why? It's just beyond me, and it makes me angry. People like Miss Duncan should be honored all over this country, and not just in March because she's a woman, not just in February because she's a Black woman, period. She made history.
Made here an icon. Well, let us thank real quick Hazel Gerlin Pooler for just bringing this documentary to light and just bringing Ruby to our forefront. I just want to celebrate Ruby Duncan. That was the documentary was really emotional. It kind of made me mad a little bit in places. I was like, wow, that happened. I want to talk real quick about emotions, because in some ways, I wanted to cry even, because when I think about a woman that is trying to feed a family and denied food, I think about, food insecurities and things right now that are going on, like very prevalent to what's around us here right now. It made me sad. So let's talk a little bit about the emotions, because we got to start we'll start there, and then we'll talk about the meat and potatoes of the documentary. But give me some emotion.
Anger, sadness, embarrassment. I was so hurt to hear that the President of the United States used the phrase "little Negro bastards." I believe that was the phrase that was used. That was so hurtful and disrespectful. And to Miss Duncan was in a domestic violent situation, and they didn't want this woman to feed her children.
Yeah, and that definitely made me angry. But again, with anger becomes movement, and that is what I enjoy most. Like, okay, so we're doing this, right? You won't listen to me or assist me. Let me call somebody to tell them about it. And the interview happened, and the next thing you know, she was given an opportunity. So James, give me a little bit about your emotions when you looked at the documentary.
My emotions were kind of the same, just like Miss Pat said. Anger, sad, embarrassment. And then at one point, the pride that came in, to see how she stood up and how she went about it. And she's like, if you don't want to give it to me, then I'll take it. And the sit-in that she did at Stardust Casino was a prime example of, my kids need to eat, So
Right.
we're gonna sit down and eat, and we're gonna get up and leave. So that was the pride thing that came in, because it was like, okay, if you don't want to give it to us, then we'll take it.
We'll take
and
it. And
yeah,
how many times do we have to do that, right? I love the way it talks about mothers will do anything for their children,
Yes,
anything.
yes,
I call that, and I think I'm going to just sit that right there. Mothers will do anything for their children. That describes woman power to me. Woman power. So why do you think, a quick question, first question, why do you think that woman power is so effective, in advancing a cause? Like, why do you think that woman power? I mean, we have so many men that are on the forefront that are start organizing and doing things, but when a woman stands up, and then a mother, why do you think that's so effective when you are putting together things? And because you just saw it, like a group of them.
usually it's because you need to survive. You have to do something. If my children are hungry, no husband in the house, I've been injured on my job, there's no income coming in, the state is telling me I can't get funds to feed my children. Oh, I have to do something. I have to do something.
I even think about, that's good, Ms. Pat, that is so good. I even think about, as a mother, when something happens to my child, I get a little woman power for causing me, right? When I feel like there's something happening, or they didn't get what they should have gotten, or, because it is a fact that there's something about a powerful force that comes over you when you it's that bond that you and your child has. It's something powerful that just comes over you, right?
Yes.
And you want to go. So James, you have a mother of 5. So let's hear about Miss Thurman.
Well, Miss Thurman, my mother, she definitely displays mother power, and to me, mother power is unique because it provides the strength that men need, the strength that little girls need, and at the same time, it brings with it an elegance that softens hearts and things like that to get things accomplished. Because, like you said, a mother would do anything for her child, and when it comes to fighting, they will fight and go to the ends of the world to ensure that their children are provided for. And so women bring a certain strength that you can never find in men when it comes to power and taking care of their kids. That's women power to me.
Well, I think, oh, wow, that was so good, right? That was good. That was so good. I hear you. And I think about when she said, or one of the ladies said, we can do it and do it better.
Yes.
When I hear that, I think about what you just said. We can do it, but we can do it better.
Yes.
This group of women, and all of them, like we talked about the different skills. So let's switch a little bit and talk about the different skills that they all had, right? When you're organizing, there are different things that people need when you're putting these things together. There was Ruby, who said, I was just so shy, but all the other ladies thought that she was loud and she could be the spokesperson. So you need that, right? Don't say nothing, James. I'm loud too. I would be that person. But, and Matt, she had to fight, right? So she was a fighter, but there were other skills. So what do you think, Ms. Pat? What other skills do you need when you're organizing? And because we all have a role to play.
Well, I noticed there were women who had bookkeeping skills. There were women who knew how to cook. Miss Ruby, I think, mentioned one of the ladies was concerned about her children going to school without their hair being combed. And she said, I know I can comb the children's hair. So they networked. and leaned on each other.
Mhm.
And who knows better than the people in need, what they need,
Right.
and they know how
Ooh,
they need to get it.
that's so good. Oh, that's powerful. Oh, that just gave me
Yes.
chills. That's powerful.
And women tend to do that. I think we're better at networking and calling. If I can't do this, but I know a girlfriend or my sister, I will call that person and say, hey, I need you. Can you come over and help me do this? Whereas I don't think the brothers, sometimes maybe the pride gets in the way. But if I really need something, and I know, even if I need to call you, hey, Monique, I need you.
I need you. I appreciate that, because what I saw in the film was just so inspiring. You
Mhm.
know, when we could all be working against each other, they all came together for a
Yes.
cause.
Yes.
And in today's society, and seeing women that don't support each other, that's hurtful.
Yes.
And when you
very.
look at a group, and over smaller things, way smaller things than
Yes.
what Ruby Duncan and that
Mhm.
entire organization went through. But it was very inspiring and motivating to me to just say, let's all get together, for different causes. Like we do organize for different things,
Mhm.
but it really it touched my heart. So what do you think, James, about, or what kind of skills, what leadership skills do you think that's needed in organizing and putting causes, organizing for a cause?
Well, the most, how you would say, prevalent one is communication, effective communication. Like Ms. Pat said, telling you what we need, how much we need, where we need, asking for those things, and then if we can't find it within our network, like she did, she reached out and sought out other avenues to try to make it happen. So most definitely, the communication piece is very vital, because within organizing with different peoples, different mentalities, and different things like that, to have all those women and all those organizations come on one accord with one voice saying one thing, that's very vital.
Just thank you, James and Ms. Powell, for that. But you got to know your rights too, right? So a lot of them weren't really educated. They weren't educated,
Mhm.
but they knew how to read and look up things and know your rights. And if they didn't, I was just so amazed by Ruby saying, there's white people that are in poverty.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know that. But she saw different things and read different things and said, hey, there's another organization that's doing the same thing that we're doing. Let's find out about it. And again, she wasn't educated. She didn't have a lot of the skill sets that we're talking about right now. But again, putting a group together, like, what did you say? A lot of minds going together can change the world.
That's
And
right.
I think that that it did that. She also, I was talking to you all a few minutes ago about her when she was looking for a job and they denied her, and she went to the newspaper to do an interview.
Yes.
And then right away, they offered her an opportunity to go to school to learn a new trade, right? So in today's society with social media, let's talk about that for a minute. Organizing in today's society, you tell me no, I'm telling everybody on Facebook,
Mhm.
right? Organizing today looks a lot different. So what's the difference? What's the pluses and the minuses of that with social media? James, I know you have a thought on this.
Well, the pluses and the minuses of that. The plus is the fact that you can reach a lot of people in a short period of time.
Okay.
That's one of the pluses. However, just like I was saying earlier with communication, some of the downfall from that is that if it's not communicated effectively, things can be lost in translation.
Yes.
Also, being stuck behind social media, that personal, how you say, the personality or getting to know a person up front, looking a person in their eyes and seeing what they're saying and being able to believe them and understand them can get lost behind the social media thing. So those are to me the glaring differences from a social media platform of today and a in-person platform that Ms. Duncan and them used of that time.
So, I mean, they brought in quite a few people. Like it said, 1,000 people stormed Caesar's Palace. So is word of mouth still effective? Like over some causes? What do you think, Ms. Pat? Word of mouth can it be better than social media in some ways?
It depends on
Okay.
what's being put out there, and like Mr. James said, how it's being put out there, because sometimes social media can be used to blow things out of proportion.
Right.
Whereas this group of women, they knew personally about the need for food and jobs, and we still have that need, but sometimes it stuff gets lost in translation, in my opinion.
Right. I understand. And you know what?
If you're experiencing that personally,
that's what I was going to say.
You have a group of people who are also experiencing that personally. Let's get together and go and talk to somebody and do something about this.
And strategize it and strategize. Right. And they really had some great strategists. There was the professor that was from out of town that came and quit his job and said, this is a great cause. I need to be a part. I want to lead it. It was, I think I'd like to call them really political strategists, all the women, I'd like to call them, because they sat down and said, okay, we're going to do this and this. And again, she wasn't educated. She was like, I don't know how to lead a meeting. And I don't, with no tools, I'm still going to do it because my children need to be fed. Today, I mean, man, it's so different. It's different. And I don't know. Just it makes me sad. I'm feeling a little bit emotional because it's like, if you have something that you're experiencing that's real close to you and you really want to put it out there, there are so many people that are reluctant to do that now because of social media, because of just caring about what other people think, because the way that social. And like you said, if I was in person with a group of people and I wanted to do something, I had to fight, I'm almost the confidence raised. But now, I mean, as a mother, I'm almost scared sometimes to put things out about my child on social media.
Well, I admire that group of women because they may not have been educated, but you don't need book sense to have good sense.
What? Say it again, Ms.
I'm just saying, you do.
You don't say it. I would say it again. You don't need good book sense to have good sense. Good sense. They have the sense enough to, because like you said, they experienced it personally. What do you think, James? Give us something about that. What are your thoughts?
The need for something, especially like you said, the need for your kids as a mother would drive you to do just about anything, whether you know how to do it or not. You'll figure it out along the way. So these women were prime examples of just that, figuring out how to make this happen. It started off with the ground roots, and it swelled into something a whole lot bigger. I'm pretty sure she probably didn't expect it to be as big as it became. Right. But when you start banding together you find out that you're not by yourself, and then others start joining you, and once again, then you have, you know, a following, and people join you, and your strength becomes even more. So
Right.
yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about what we know about these benefits that they were really fighting for, right? So there is Medicaid. There is, well, initially she'd gotten hurt and just wanted some help, right? Just to make it from day to day. Did you hear her say she was getting paid $120 and half of it was going to rent?
Yes, ma'am.
During that time, again, the other woman talked about how her sister said she couldn't believe she got $100 and some in 2 weeks. Like that was the reality of it all. But let's talk about some of those benefits. So we have, like I said, Medicaid, we have SNAP benefits. And I think you were talking to me, Ms. Pat, about what you've seen on television about a woman that after calculating all the things that supposedly her assets and her debt, they found that she only was going to get $13.
$13. I think that was a news story. $13 in
and that's
SNAP
today.
benefits.
Today. And SNAP benefits, $13.
Yes.
So what is a family to do with $13? I mean, we don't know her whole story, but if she is eligible, you know, $13, what is she to do with $13?
No, especially with today's prices. Eggs, prices are through the roof. Gasoline,
let's talk about the eggs, right? We don't want to talk about
$13.
Yeah, $13. $13. It's not in this conversation, you know, I'm glad we're having it. Ruby Duncan, thank you again. But
yes, ma'am.
It's not a Black thing. So that's one of the myths. People think that it's a Black thing. But, you know, it is clear for us to note that there are Black single mothers, and, you know, there are folks that are really struggling, right, in our community, in the Black community. But it's not a Black thing. It's a worldwide thing. James, what you got? I see your face. Tell me something.
Yeah, the statement goes, the struggle is real, and it has no particular ethnicity or group or things such as that. People are in need, and like you were saying, $13 is pretty much a slap in the face, especially when you're talking about today's economy, when the government can feed the world and still have more to go around, you know, things like that. And you have people that's in need, where they have to beg and plead, and you know, then they have to hear these speeches from their elected officials about what they need to do, but yet and still you have people that mismanage money and things like that, such as banks. And the minute they feel they about to lose a few dollars, the government, you know, springs into action, almost no questions asked. And I believe that it should be the exact opposite when we're talking about people that's struggling and in need. Like you said, it's not a Black or white thing. It's a people thing.
It's a people thing.
And Mr. James, it's hurtful to me to see our country send billions of dollars overseas. Not to say that these people don't need help, but we need to take care of our people here at home as well. They need to be a priority. Help your brother on the other side of the pond, as they call it, or wherever, but you have people right here that need help. And that should be at the forefront for our elected officials. I moved to this area in 1985, and I saw homeless people, but the homelessness that I see now,
yes, ma'am,
it is just overwhelming. It's overwhelming. And I hear this, well, it was the pandemic. Oh, that might have been part of it, but come on, something else is going on here.
We are all, we're all really confronting poverty in some way, right? In some way or
Yes.
form, because like we were just talking about, um, the myth of work will keep you out of poverty.
Mm,
And no, it's
No.
like, that's
No.
why I always tell my child, you have to humble yourself and just
Yes.
know that one day you can be up and another day you can be
Yes,
down.
ma'am. Yes,
And
ma'am.
and this story really shows that. Like she was doing fine. She was working at a hotel. She had a job. She had her children. You know, things weren't great. Like we were all, we're all going through things. But she had a plan. Like that was her plan until
Yep.
until so.
But
Like I always say, one day you're up and one day you could be down immediately.
And
So
there
we're
are a
all
lot,
confirmed. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, there are a lot of people who are one or two tragic instances from being in that position.
Correct.
that's what I was just about to say. Just like the producer said, all of us are one incident or health
Yes, she did.
health issue away from being in the same boat that these women were. And is you I think about that they struggled through this back then, and here we are in 2023 still struggling with
Yes,
the
sir.
same type of
Yes,
stuff.
sir.
Same
Yeah.
type of stuff. Maybe a little bit different, but is at the heart of it is still the same type of stuff. People in need care, and the government not doing what they should be doing to provide for its people.
But I mean, do you think that we're making, I mean, some things are not great. Well, a lot of things are not great. But you know what? Ruby Duncan got a win. She changed some things around. There was a win.
Mm-hmm.
And when you fight for a cause, it's always what do I want to say? I want to just say that don't stop the fight. Don't stop fighting. Don't stop fighting. When you think about, I think she said something. What did she say? If you want your life to get better, you have to fight for it. So in everything, even we're, like I said, we're all confronting poverty, but in everything, fight for what you want. And another thing, here it is, because I believe in you. Pay it forward. Tell your children.
Yes.
Tell your children
Yes.
about it. Let's talk about that, because I really enjoyed seeing her children on there. What did y'all think? Them telling stories and looking at pictures. I reminded me of how we do it at home, when we're all sitting around and taking our old pictures. They enjoyed seeing their mother. Her son called her Shiro.
Yes.
How do you think that made her feel, honey? I'm James. I'm sorry.
Well,
Jay.
I'm pretty sure it probably made her feel amazing. I mean, because to think that your mom went out there, stood up against the government, stood up against organized crime,
Mhm.
stood up against God knows how many other people that she probably faced just to get the bare minimum that she deserved. Of course, I mean, I'm pretty sure Shiro to me is not enough. I mean,
It's not
because
enough.
she done some amazing things, and from what she started, just like I said, we still fighting some of that today, but she at least kind of put it on the map for her
Oh, yeah.
area, and began the fight. So yeah, I mean, there always have to be someone to start it. So yeah, Shiro is a nice term, but to me, it's not enough.
So listen, Miss Pat, what words will you how did that make you feel? How did that make you feel?
Her son calling her Shiro.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that right there.
She's mine as well. And like I said, I didn't know her name
Yay.
until I watched this documentary. Women like her paved the way for women like me.
The shoulders we stand on.
Yes. The avenue she took was to demonstrate and go and sit down. I took the avenue of going into the military to feed my child.
Mm,
But she paved the way. Had she not done that, I
yeah,
don't know. I don't know if I would have had the courage those women had.
that was very scary. I think we were talking about this a little bit about, you know, some of those women were being abused a little bit.
Yes.
And they were being abused at home. And then when you talk about benefits, I think there was a place in there that they talked about that the man had to leave the home for you to get benefits.
Yes.
Or something like that,
Yes.
right? Do you all
Yes.
remember that piece?
Mhm.
So, you know, Shiro, icon, amazing, resilient, you know, just all together, queen. You know, what other words can we describe her? Let's just give some words. What other words, honey? James, can you that go beyond and go beyond? What other words?
Tower of power.
Power.
Oh, yes.
Just like you said, queendom.
Mhm.
Just never stopping. Always at the forefront, spear, you know,
Right.
Yeah.
leading the way, and not being tired, or shall I say, not getting tired, even though I'm pretty sure she probably had some things to knock her down. And I mean, and then dealing with the children, I mean, even though it was for her children, you can tell that they weren't neglected.
No.
So as she took care of her business, she took care of her business.
Oh, I love that.
You know,
Oh, I
so
love
that's
that.
one of the things that stood out also.
So as she took, he said, as she took care of her business, she
Mhm.
took care of her business.
That's
because
correct.
that's the business. That is the
Yes.
business, right? Miss
Yes.
Pat, go ahead.
Fearless.
Fearless. Oh,
And sometimes fear will keep you from doing things, but she used that to her advantage.
absolutely.
I'm sure when the mob rolled up in the limousines, you know, that was a little scary,
Oh, absolutely.
but they kept on moving forward because they had a
Yeah.
mission.
I love that you said that, James, the business of the children, because at the end of the day, that's really where it was all about.
Yes.
We are going to wrap it up a little bit, but I want to hear some real last comments from you all. We can just go around and just think for a minute. Let's just take a quick minute, because the audience has really seen a very good film on a woman, an icon that we none of us really knew about. So a very good learning experience. And I'm sure they learned a little bit from our conversation as well. So I just want to say, you know, just thank you so much for this. But I want to hear your last comments around the room. Let's take a second. If it's a quote or a scripture or anything that you want to share that just comes to mind when you think about Ruby Duncan, what she's done for our country, what she's done for you personally, how you can move her mission forward. Just think about that.
Well, I remember hearing, I think I heard a quote or that no person in America should be too poor to live.
Wow.
That stuck with me. And it's the truth. We're the richest or greatest, maybe not the richest, but we're told that we're the greatest country in the world. So no one here should be too poor to live. But we have what we have on the streets, families, homeless. Should not be. It's hurtful. But we need more Ruby Duncans.
We need more Ruby Duncans.
We need more Ruby Duncans.
We will share this. We will definitely move it forward. James, what do you have to say?
I would say that this this film was inspiring. It kind of helped me broaden my shoulders and stand up stronger, because, you know, as when they get to the sexes, you know, the women is the lesser of the sexes. But this woman here showed that that is a myth, is false, because she stood up and she went for what she knew how to do the best that she could do. And looking at the video and thinking about what she represents, the statement or the saying that comes to mind: when you've done all that you can do to stand still,
Stand.
therefore. And that to me is what she did. She did all that she can do to try to do it the right way. And so she just took a stand, you know, and she went about it the best way she knew how. And that's one of those things. This need to be broadcast
Oh, yeah. And I'm
on mainstream
So,
TV.
It
and
will.
It needs to be, like Ms. Pat said, put in our history books, you
Yes.
know, for our
Absolutely.
kids to read about and learn about, you know, because like, you know, the saying goes, there's nothing new under the sun.
No.
So if they did that to her back then, they're still doing the same thing
They
today.
are.
It's just a different tactic that they're using. So we have to be aware of it, you know, in order to fight something, you have to know what you're fighting.
Well, I thank you, each of you, for sharing your experiences with us. And thank everyone who's watching and has joined us tonight. We appreciate you hanging out with us. And don't forget that you can stream and you can stream the complete film for free on the PBS app starting Monday, or watch it on KBTC on March 28th at 11 o'clock. So I say again, thank you, and good night,
thank
everyone.
you.
And thank you again for watching and being with us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm so proud of you.
I'm so
proud
proud
of
of you. I'm so proud of you. Thank you to
Thank you.
KBTC and PTT.
Thank
Good night. Good night.
Good
you.
night.
Good night.